Hello, my name is Brankita, and this is my dark spot. I'm here with Klemen of Eruption. So, hi, Klemen, and how are you today?
Hi, Blanket. I'm doing great, actually. Thanks for inviting us. Thanks for inviting the band. I'm the only one who could make it today, but I think we'll make do with what we have.
Okay. Thank you for joining me. And let's dive more into the band and the beginnings. So, the band was created in 2004 in Slovenia.
Yeah.
Uh, can you tell me more about the situation before forming the band and how did it come? Where did you get the idea to form the band?
Okay. So I was in a couple of high school heavy metal bands when starting out. Like we played covers, and then we played some. We started writing songs. We played one show with my second band. We played one show, and Tim was the guitarist who started Eruption. Basically, he came to that show. We've known each other from the scene from before. We hung out with the same people. Never really hung out, just knew of each other more than anything else. And after that show, he was at the show, and after the show, he came to me and he was like, "Your band sucks, but you sing well." I was like, okay. And he was like, I'm starting a new band, and like I would like you to sing, for me. And at the time, I was like, no, I like where we're going. I like what you're doing. So I said no. And then like a month later, we split up, and I was like, hey, I could call that guy. So I called him. That's it. We started jamming. They already had like one or two songs written when I joined. I really liked it. It was new for me because before I was like singing in a more like melodic style, and then they were a thrash band, so I could shout more, and it was fun for me at the time. And yeah, so that's how it started. He invited me. I said no. Then I called him a few weeks or like a month later if they still needed a singer, and that was it. Then we came up with the name together, and after like a million lineup changes, we did a first demo in 2006, I think, seven maybe.
How do you feel when you remember, those old days,
Yeah,
the beginning? Yeah. How does it feel like, when you look from
yeah, that was
that perspective right now? Yeah.
that was like super fun. Like we were all in high school or just start. Some of us maybe starting um, studying, and but I think we were only in high school when we started out, and yeah, it was just fun. It was like no obligations, no real goal. I think initially we just wanted to be like fast and aggressive, and that was it for starting. It was more at first it was like more drinking than playing, just having fun. We'd get together like two, even three times a week sometimes, and just have fun with it, and just write songs that we wanted to hear. So, but yeah, later it became more serious. But yeah, it was just fun times. Just we didn't care about modern metal. We wanted to be like the guys in the 80s, and we listened to basically the first wave of British heavy metal and older stuff, and then bands like Metallica, Testament, Forbidden, all the like Bay Area thrash stuff. Those were like our earliest influences. So
Yeah, that's cool to hear. So yeah, I was wondering about the idea. How did you decide to choose those specific genres? Because it's only not only about only one genre.
yeah,
There's a mixture of just a few genres like speed, thrash, power.
yeah.
A lot of things are going on. And what was about that idea? How did you decide to mix all those?
Don't think really like made a conscious decision initially. We just wanted to play fast and no compromise old school metal. So back in the day, really speed metal and thrash metal were pretty much the same thing, and
Yeah.
that's the way we viewed it. And so we just knew that we don't want it to sound like a modern band. That was the only, I think, the only goal at first. Just play what we considered real metal. So
Yeah.
yeah, but we didn't like we mixed genres and had different, because always, no matter the lineup in Eruption, I think this thrash metal sound is always the thing we have in common that we all like. And then when it comes to everything else, like, I don't know, like one of us maybe likes more melodic death metal, and then I listen to like slower stuff, or stuff that has like D-beat drums and stuff like that. And then maybe one likes, I don't know, classic rock, and so we're never afraid to like use any influence if we can make it work in our song. So
Yeah, so you feel like experimenting with the genres when it comes to that, right?
I don't really think we do. We don't think about it much. We just let
Yeah,
it happen. Yeah. So
yeah, that's cool.
we never consciously experiment. We never say that we have to do this differently. We just let things happen the way they naturally do. So I think the main reason why our albums sound different from one another is because, yeah, we develop as musicians, we develop as individuals, and we also like, none of the albums has the same lineup. There's always like at least one person changing. So everybody brings their own stuff into the mix, and yeah, we just go with it, and so usually, like, if you listen to our first album and our second album, you can hear the progression, and then
Yeah,
if you listen to the second and the third, again, you can see it. But like, if you take the last one and the first one, you won't see the connection anymore. But it's all very natural and very organic. We don't plan on it. We just like, yeah, if we like something, we use it. And even sometimes when we write songs, we feel like, oh, this one maybe isn't our style, maybe we should change it. And then in the end, when we add like all the instruments, like the drums, the vocals, the bass, it in the end it sounds like Eruption. We're like, yeah, this sounds like Eruption, so it's good.
yeah, yeah. I was just, I was just, when you said about that comparison to the previous releases, I
Yeah,
am always that person who likes to hear. I'm always like sucker for first albums, you know.
yeah, I think most
Yeah,
of us are. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Like choose any band, like first album, like absolutely. And my biggest thing is like when I go to see a band, like newer bands, older bands, doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going there. Where is that song? Why didn't you play that song from the
Yeah.
first album? And band has like 20 albums already. I was like, okay.
I recently saw, I think it was an Instagram ad, and I saw this T-shirt that says, "I like their older stuff better," and I think every metalhead should wear that shirt. Like, I think all of us are the same. Like, if you
Yeah.
talk about any band, the answer is going to be, "I like their older stuff better." That's just how it is. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, of course, we have to mention your latest release. It was
mm,
in August last year, if I remember. Yeah,
yes, it came out in
yeah,
August 2022. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You can tell me definitely more about it because honestly, like it's very hard to dig more info on it. I mean, okay, of course, you can listen to the album and anything, but I like to hear, yeah, like from you, like
Yeah.
what would you like to say about it?
Mm. So it was definitely a fun and challenging album to make for us.
Yeah.
At first, um, we weren't even sure how to proceed. Close to Oblivion, the previous album, was mostly written by Andrei Chuk, who left the band in 2020, 2020, or early 2020, I think. And he formed Insanguinator. Great, you should check him out. But yeah, so he left the band, and we're like, we weren't sure if, not that we weren't sure, we just like Gregor, who was the second guitarist. He has a very, or he had from before, he had a very distinct, very technical style that maybe I was a bit afraid that it's gonna be like too technical or whatever. But in the time he was in the band, he, I guess, learned the style of Eruption, and when he started writing a song, I was like, yeah, this is perfect. And basically when he started writing those first songs, I was like, yeah, I have nothing to fear. It's and so most of these songs are written by Gregor Kamenšek, guitar wise at least. And then two of the songs are by Gregor Lautar, who we still call the new guy, but he's been in the band for 2 years now or something like that. And he also did all the recording and mixing because he's a sound engineer. So that was lucky for us. It was easier to like have it all in house. But yeah, I don't know. We at first we had the idea of doing a concept album, and then I kind of didn't want to do it. But in the end, we did it anyway. Somehow it happened naturally that when I was writing lyrics and listening to the musician, I was like, this sounds like a whole. And like when I was when we were figuring out like, you know, which song to put where in the album and all that, it started to make sense to make it a concept album. And I had most of the lyrics done by then, so I had to rewrite some to, you know, incorporate them in the whole concept. But yeah, I'm super happy with how it came out. Every band says that, but I think this one's our best one. So.
Yeah, usually, yeah. But you know, it's kind of natural to say that because it has the most progressive sound when you compare, right?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's kind of natural. And what is behind the lyrics? How do you find the inspiration for the lyrics?
Like actually, it's the riffs, it's the song that like gives me an impulse that I feel where I have to go with it. But then the lyrics themselves are just like I think most metalheads, at least those I've met, are huge nerds, and I'm no exception. So I read a lot of fantasy, a lot of sci-fi, you know, play video games, watch again sci-fi and fantasy stuff, and horror, so that. So I've been actually since the second album, I've been kind of creating a world where all this is happening. So if you take lyrics from this album, some of them are prequels to lyrics from the previous album, and also so it goes back to the second. At first, in the first one, not really, but then with the second one, I started doing this concept. So it's all happening in this universe. It's like you could call it like a parallel universe, where it's happening on an Earth-like planet or different planets around this universe. But yeah, it's inspired. I guess you could call it like an alternate history or whatever. So.
Yeah, and I have also noticed, you know, how you match I mean, the lyrics, the whole concept with the artwork.
Yeah.
But artwork is amazing. I always pay attention to that, like, you know. So I would definitely like to hear more about it.
Thanks. Yeah, the artwork for this one was done by Leia Huchivar. You can find her on Instagram. It's Leia.hx at Instagram. She is an awesome tattoo artist and illustrator, and she is a friend of the band. I don't know, before we always worked with like for the second album, we worked with Andrei Bujiko, who did a lot of stuff for Municipal Waste. And then for cloaks, we were working with a Romanian artist named Alex. I forgot what his last name was, but he was also great. But then for this one, specifically because of this concept thing, we wanted to have an artist who it's gonna be easy to basically just throw ideas around, maybe every day or just when needed. So basically, I gave her like the lyrics that I wanted to reflect in the artwork, and just said, just read those, ask me questions if you need to, and just draw whatever. And so she ended up. That's the I think the coolest part about it. She didn't only do the artwork, the front cover. She did all the inlays, and she did like, I think we had like 3 or 4 different shirt designs. With different graphics, but all relating to the cover. So she did an amazing job, and we were super happy about it. And we have really cool merch because of it. So
Yeah, definitely. Yes. I think
I'm wearing a shirt right now. So.
it's amazing. It's really amazing. I love it so much. Yeah. And tell me about your influences, and are there any lessons you have adopted from them? Like it can be even, you know, we can speak about the earlier period or now, or in general, you know.
Okay, so I don't think we really, well, yeah, we did talk about it briefly, but yeah, so I'm the singer in the band, and so my main influences are obviously other singers, and yeah, I learned like when I first started singing, or how I first started singing in my first band. It was like when I first heard the album Walls of Jericho by Halloween. When I first heard it, I was like, the vocals on that, like Kai Hansen on that one, it's like, it's not really good. He's not a great singer on that one. You could say he's actually pretty bad, actually, but sounds amazing anyway. Just so badass, so cool. And when I heard it, I was like, okay, I think I could do that. Like, I think I could pull it off. So I just tried, and most of my influences, or probably all of my influences, are singers who sound a bit different. Also, like, as a fan, what I prefer a very special voice or a very special approach over perfect technique. That was like, for me, and most people are gonna hate me for saying that, but for me, Dio was never interesting.
I don't hate you.
Bruce Dickinson was never interesting for me. They're amazing singers. Don't get me wrong. They're
amazing.
brilliant.
Yeah.
They do nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then you have singers like, obviously, most people, I guess, know that one of my favorite singers is Warl Dane, and he has a very distinct voice, and his delivery, the way he just pronounces stuff, uses the vocal fry, sometimes uses a more whispery voice, is very dramatic. I always like when it's like a lot of drama in the voice. So my biggest influences are definitely Warl Dane. John Oliver is great. He can sound like a million people if he wants to. A great example from an obscure but actually world-known band is Mr. Doctor from Devil Doll. He is just insane, and he's not a great singer at all. He's not, but what he does is just awesome. And then you have some people who I think everyone could agree that they're not good singers at all, but I fucking love them and they sound great. Sean Killen from Violence. That's like, he's not singing. He's not doing anything. He's just being angry, and he's doing it perfectly. It suits the music, and it's amazing. In any other band, he would suck. But they're great, and those are the singers I like. And they're like, right now there's this new band. They put their second album out right now, from Switzerland, called Megaton Sword. They're like that. I love them. They play this old school, brilliant heavy metal, and the singer, that's what I miss with a lot of modern singers. They just play too safe. They either scream or they sing this really soft, clean voice. I miss the old days when people screamed like Robert Plant,
Yeah, definitely. I have a friend who can do that, female friend, believe me or not.
Yeah. And so this guy from Megaton Sword, I love him because he can sound like Skeletor from He-Man, and then he can also sing really, and he's just great. But it's one of those voices that you either love or hate. But those are always my favorite singers. The love or hate ones. For me, it's usually love. Just interesting singers, and definitely technique is important, especially if you want to keep your voice for years and years. But it should, for me as a listener, it's never the first thing. And then also for me as a singer, when I'm in studio, when I'm recording stuff, when I have all the time in the world, I do a lot of things wrong, because for me, they don't sound the same if they're sung right. So if I know that something is going to hurt my voice, I still do it in the studio. I do it differently live, because obviously I want to be able to do it like the next day as well. But in the studio, I think an important thing is just to not really care about perfect technique as much, and just get that emotion in that you want to convey. And you can't always do that with the right technique. Sometimes the pain that you want people to hear has to be real physical pain that you feel because of the way you're doing the vocals. So yeah.
That's all interesting what you said, because recently I got into singing. I mean, I'm trying to learn clean singing, which is very hard to me, in comparison to, could you imagine, growling and screaming? So clean singing turns to be harder, ironically.
For
you
me,
know, so
I think both are equally hard. Like if you want to be good at it, like
yeah,
both are hard. And it's always just some things come more natural to some people than others. Like for me, always those high pitched vocals, the screams. For me, that's the easiest part. Everything else is way harder than that.
yeah,
And because like if you need me to scream like those painkiller vocals, I can do that anytime. And everything else, I need to practice. I need to be in the right mindset. I need to be
yeah.
physically prepared for it. It's a lot of work sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it turns out to be easier, you know, to just scream and growl. And yeah, okay, fry scream is a little bit tricky for me, but still I think it's doable. But clean singing, I can do certain things, you know, but it's just I have breathing technique problems. Like I
Yeah, yeah.
just cannot
Like
control that, you know.
for me, I don't really do a lot of real clean singing.
Yeah,
And then when I do, it's always fun because it's
yeah,
always a new challenge. And one of the hardest songs on this one was the Praise the Serpent Queen, which is like kind of a ballad. Uh, and that one was probably the most difficult to record, but also the funnest, just because I don't sing that way a lot. So it's always a fun challenge to mix things up and try different things.
yeah, definitely. Okay, if you have something else to share with singing techniques, maybe it will help some people, of course, if you wish, if something comes to your mind right now, it
I'm
would be
probably the
great.
worst when it comes to that, because I'm self-taught in all it. I did sing um, in a choir for a while, and that's when I learned some stuff, I guess. And I
Yeah,
also, my mom's an opera singer, so sometimes she would like help me out with tips, but I never formally trained in singing. And I learned by trial and error, and I think that's the fun way to do it. And it's probably good at some point to get some lessons. I never did, and I don't think I will. Um, but I think as a singer, when you're discovering your voice, it's important to just not be afraid to try out things,
yeah,
and you'll figure out like your body will tell you what's okay for you and what's not okay for you. Uh, and it's also when you start out, don't set the bar too high. Like obviously start with something that you think you can pull off. Don't go for Queensryche from from the get-go. Get something easier. Nobody can sing like Jeff Tate, so don't try it.
yeah. I set high goals immediately, and I'm extremely impatient person. Like, you know, I'm like, okay, I like Tool. Now I'm gonna sing Tool, and believe me or not, I was doing it a lot. Like,
Mm.
you know, I was singing for months, for I don't know, half a year. So certain songs, I believe me or not, I can pull off, and people be like, whoa. Well, but it was hard work. But generally, I still need, you know, classes for breathing and controlling my voice.
Mm.
But I have really insane goals, like I don't know, Mike from Fate No More,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I mean, Maynard from Tool, Chino, Deftones,
yeah,
Lane, Alice in Chains, and people
yeah.
be
But
like,
those are all insanely good vocalists, though. So,
I know, and
yeah,
I'm like, and people be like, why don't you start with Garbage, which I adore. I really love that band, Garbage. I really like a lot of genres, like you know,
yeah,
and that's something suitable for my vocal. I don't know, No Doubt, Garbage, something like that, Cardigan, something easier. You know,
yeah.
I can't really sing that high. But then, no, I really set my standards high, and
Mm.
I'm gonna die or learn it. I'm that way, ride or die, bitch. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Yeah, so that was cool. And tell me about that. I mean, you already mentioned how your sound was expanded over the years,
yeah,
but can you tell me more about that? I mean, the gradation process behind it. You said it came naturally,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Ah, but
Uh,
how do you feel it was developed? Like, how did it go when you remember that? Like, you know, that process of
I
forming it, for shaping it, let's say.
I never really like put much thought into that. Like when it comes to just the instrumental parts and the vocal parts as well, it just you know, when we started out, we were kids who had no idea what they were doing, and then we just got better at instruments, and that led us to be able to, you know, write better songs. And also, I think when you start out, you want to write riffs or write songs that are maybe like at a level that you're maybe not even at yet. And then as you grow, as you learn, you always write songs that ideally you can pull off even on a bad day.
Yeah.
Because I think although it gets more complicated, it never it never gets to a point where it's almost too complicated for you, I guess. And yeah, but I don't know. It was just, you know, people came and went. I'm the only one who's been in the band basically since day one. And then, I mean, this lineup, as I said before, Gregor joined us like 2 years ago ish, and then the rest of them were also already on the previous album, and a bit. Ivan, actually, the drummer, he played on the second one as well, so he's been in the band since 2011 probably. But yeah, when there's a new person coming in, they always bring stuff to the table that, you know. But yeah, no, I don't know. The only, like, on my part, the only conscious like choice stylistically was that on Tenses Collide, the second album, on the first one, on Lifeless, I wanted to sing as raw and just thrashy as possible. And then on the second one, I guess I started to like miss the melodies that I used to sing in my like old bands. So I started putting some of that there. And then for the third one, it just made sense to do even more of that. You know, just more melodies, more actual singing. And then with this one, with Tellurian Rupture, it just, I don't think it's more melodic than it was than Cloaks was. I think it's in a way more. I always thought that on Cloaks, I love that album that we did, but I always thought that my overall vocal performance on that one was maybe a bit too soft, too heavy metal. And so here I wanted to like keep the melodies intact, but add more aggression to it. Again, more anger, more of that raspiness. So I think the delivery on this one is a bit more punchy, just more in your face, but still as melodic, or maybe even more if that's possible. But yeah.
Yeah, as you noticed, I mean, as I noticed on the previous albums, like first, second, I promise not to compare bands and influences, but I hope you won't be angry for saying that.
That's like,
you know,
the only normal thing to do. So yeah.
I mean it like a compliment in the best possible way, not like, you know, I didn't mean anything wrong. Don't get me wrong. So it has those, you know, Testament vibes, I have noticed.
Yeah, the
like
first
early Testament. Am I right? Like vibes, definitely.
The first and the second album definitely have a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because Testament, like the whole Bay Area scene was huge for us when we started out. So you're definitely going to hear Testament, Forbidden, Exodus, Violence, even Megadeth, Metallica, obviously. So yeah, you definitely hear Testament in Eruption.
Yeah, because, you know, especially today, I was listening, I think, The Gathering of Testament. And I was like, I think it was one of the, to me at least, my personal taste, one of the best albums ever they made. Well, at least that's my taste. I can kind of speak in someone else.
Souls of Black is the bass on that one. Just sounds great.
Yeah, okay, I can agree with you. Yeah, and I was just like, okay, wait. And then I was listening to your albums earlier, and I was like, okay, it's kind of cool. You know, it's gonna totally, you can sense those vibes, which is great.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, and tell me about the most important thing for the success of your band. What do you think? What was the crucial factor to it?
We're not a successful band, so we're yet to find out.
Well, I think you are.
It's like it's been, I think, a combination of longevity, because we've been, you know, going at it for almost 20 years now, which just means that we're old. But
And successful, by the way.
I
I
didn't.
mean,
What'd you say?
yeah, and successful. And
Yeah,
successful.
no, I don't
Yeah.
know. But I don't know. We never we like. I think we were lucky to write music that was good enough that people noticed it. Some people at least. And we were also lucky to get some chance to play with like, really cool bands that we look up to. And we got a chance to open for a lot of those bands, and we're gonna open for another one in May. We're opening for Toxic,
Cool.
which was one of, for me and Gregor, definitely one of the influences when we started doing bands and stuff. But yeah, I think like just to be you have to know what you want. Like we never had ambitions to be like the biggest band in the world. We always knew that we wanted to play the kind of music that we like, and that we always wanted to have fun with it. And the rest of it is just not giving up, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Sometimes it's hard because like sometimes being in a band can totally suck, obviously.
No, can suck maybe. I don't know. I mean, okay, I'm not in a band, so I cannot say much. But because probably there are a lot of obstacles you have to overcome, I guess, in that COVID period, which was hard for
Yeah, that was in a
yeah,
way that was not fun, but if it didn't happen, I don't know if we'd actually have an album out yet, because we really took that downtime to actually write and record. So
yeah,
because we played like we played we were like one of the first Slovenian bands that played like a live stream show, and that was a fun experience. But I wouldn't want to do it again because it's just not as cool if there's no people, physically
yeah,
there. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard now. Like after COVID, it's hard because it's way harder to get a show. Locally it's easy for us because we've been here for a while and people know us. So in Slovenia we can pretty much always get a gig if you want, like one. But playing abroad has gotten more difficult after COVID. Like some places that we knew from before don't exist anymore. And some people, like local promoters of that just gave up on it and so it's hard to like get new connections and just so we've been struggling with that quite a bit actually. But we also had some fun shows after COVID, like outside of Slovenia already. We played in Novi Sad actually in December, I think.
Yeah. I think Zoki mentioned something, about that.
Yeah.
We were speaking today, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool to see.
But it's always cool. I think an important thing for any band is just to like get in touch with similar bands or
Exactly.
Similar bands from like different regions. And it's because we've been friends for years with the guys from Infest, also with the guys from the Stone, as I mentioned before, and then also Alitor and Quasarborn are awesome friends of ours. I'm actually hosting them in Ljubljana in April. And also like bands from Croatia, like Crematory from Rijeka, Old Night from Rijeka. And like, in Austria and Italy, we have like, and I think that's important for a band to get in touch with other bands so you can help each other out, get exchange gigs and stuff like that.
Exactly. And I suppose you have a good fan base, which is also very important, to keep in touch with your fans. How do you feel about that?
We try to like, keep in touch with our friends. We're super lucky with actually having, and that's maybe funny, but because we play this kind of old school style of metal, a lot of our fans worldwide are guys in their like late 40s, maybe 50s, who grew up on this music when they were teenagers, and that's good for us because those are people who have jobs and can actually buy our stuff online. So we do get some money back from those fans, and we're super grateful that they support us. Order our T-shirts, our vinyl. It's awesome that we can actually put stuff out on vinyl and people are interested. Because we were like, when we put out the pre-orders for the new album, we were like super stoked about how many people wanted to get it on vinyl, like from the get-go. That was awesome for us. And yeah, our fans, wherever we go, whenever we meet, they're just awesome. And they always
sign your merch. You go to the merch table, sign your merch and everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I think cool. Every band should do that. I mean, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I was in Budapest last year. I saw Deftones, Tool, Gojira, and I think they did. I mean, I think there was a merch table, but sadly,
Yeah, but for big bands,
I was sad.
For big bands, that's different. I think for a small band like us, it's like, what else are you gonna do? Like, I mean, usually it's us selling the merch as well. Like, we sometimes we bring like my wife or my drummer's girlfriend or somebody like who's connected to the band with us when we can. But a lot of the time, especially when playing somewhere outside of our country, we have to like make compromise, because we rent the van and then we have the gear and then it's us, and then if we take another person, that takes up space. So usually we just do it ourselves, and that's how most bands underground bands do it. And yeah, so obviously hang out with everyone and
yeah, fans appreciate it a lot. Yeah, but it's very difficult for those bigger bands. I have talked to Julian from Gorod, and he told me they earlier played with Gojira, back then. But even for them, even Gorod is a great death metal band. Like, I really adore them. But Julian told me it is very hard to play with Gojira right now, because they got so big.
Yeah,
really, I'm very glad because of that, because they're great guys. Like, they have great level of interaction with the audience. They were really, the energy was amazing, and the whole interaction. And I'm so glad because of that. But I'm sad because you can really get the chance to see them, to talk to them. They're so busy and everything. Yeah. So.
Yeah, but like those bands, usually it's like it's a tour that like lasts, I don't know, 2 months, and they have to like play a different city every like night, or they have some nights off. But like mostly it's like a really high tempo thing. And underground bands like us, it's easier for us. It's just easier. We take the time off our day jobs and go do that just for fun, and they actually have to do it to pay the bills. So I think it's a completely different mindset that goes into it.
Yeah.
So obviously underground bands are going to be more approachable by fans than it's just, I don't think it can work any other way.
Exactly. And tell me, what is the most challenging thing in the studio while you're recording, and how do you find some time to get relaxed and chill, with your mates and family? Yeah.
In the studio, like for us in the studio, it's, we record most of the stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
And we take our time. We don't rush it. And yeah, so it's, for me personally, it's like usually when we're recording, I would go to work in the morning and then go to the studio in the afternoon and record like 1 or 2 songs, and then maybe do it the next day as well. Maybe not. It depends on like what I have going on. But yeah, so usually I think what we do is like I think I recorded all the vocals in like 4 sessions, but that was stretched over like 2 or 3 weeks, and everybody's the same. Like you'd record like 1 or 2 songs in a session, so you'd have like 4, maybe 5 sessions altogether, but that gets stretched out like a month or even more, just because it's, although we do it as professionally as we possibly can on a level as high as we can, do it. At the end of the day, it's still a hobby for us. It's, none of us pays the bills for music. So, so we just take our time. And I think that's also, it makes it easier. If we don't want to record an album, we just don't do it. We don't have to do it. Nobody's pushing us to do it. You know, for bigger bands, you know, like Gujira that you mentioned before, or whatever, they have to make albums.
Yeah.
They don't have a choice not to make an album. You know, we can always say we're done making albums, and it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah.
For them, it's not that easy a choice, you know, because it's their daily bread. So, yeah, so studio isn't really stressful, I think, for us. Yeah, everyone, you know, can basically do it on their own terms. Of course, when we start recording, we set a deadline when we wanted to have it finished, but we always make sure that that's like enough time that we can do it without pushing anyone too much, you know. So
Yeah. Exactly. But I think, you know, when I also mentioned success, I also think it's a great, at least to me, you know, from my perspective, it's a great success to stay on the scene, you know, in general, to, you know, to have a good fan base and, you know, to have a stable connection with them and to publish things, because I don't think, you know, a lot of bands actually get a chance, you know, you know, to perform anymore, or to, for example, there's so many great bands earlier, they released amazing things. I haven't heard a bad album from them, bad song. For example, I'm not sure if you heard of the bands like Ammonia, Grand Truck, like, and it's like they don't exist anymore. You know, that's why I think like while they're still being present there and people like and you know buy your music, I think it's a success.
I think here is exactly that you know, because we're all underground bands, you know, so you make an album. Like the first album, everybody's always super excited about it. And then with the second album, usually you have to put in a bit more work. And then for some people, just other things happen in life, you know? So they quit. And then it's up to the other members to decide, like, do they still want to keep going, find new people? Or is that it for everyone? And some bands just, you know, just when they like, I guess, you know, take a look at it and just, you know, weigh the options, they're like, maybe it's not worth it. And some people, you know, I guess it means more to some than others, so they keep going. And also it really depends on, like, as I said before, I'm the only one who's been in the band since day one, and if it wasn't like, there's always at least one person in the band who at the point where when I'm ready to quit persuades me that no, it's worth it, you know. And I was lucky that I always had at least one person in the band who would like talk me out of it, because I've meant to quit 1,000 times and I never do. And honestly, if I'm being truthful, I don't think I actually could, because it means so much to me at this point. It's, you know, it's yeah, it's almost 20 years of the band, and I've been in. I'm 36 now, so it's been more than half my life that I'm in this band. Exactly. So I don't think I could ever, like. I mean, I can't imagine like not being in a band. I can definitely see it, like, you know, it's the way it is. It's like sometimes in my life, it's more of a focus point, and then in other periods of my life, it's like maybe more of a background thing. But it's always there, and I need it there. I don't know, and I think, yeah, all of us in the current lineup are like that. That we need to be in a band, at least one. Like some of our guys are in more bands, but we don't know how to not be in bands.
Yeah, but that's great. You're you know, pushing each other, you know, like supporting each other. That's great thing to hear. Definitely, you always need to have someone. Like, you can do it. No giving up. You know, it's not allowed.
As long as that there's one person in the band that really wants to keep going, that person can persuade at least enough people that they find a replacement for some. Or as long as one person doesn't lose hope, you can keep going. And, you know, maybe like a month later or whatever, that person is not going to feel it, but somebody else is going to have that energy. And yeah, you just push each other, boost each other's energies. I don't know.
That's great to hear. Seriously, yeah, to have mates like this, you know.
Yeah.
And tell me about. I mean, I've read that you performed with a lot of big names. For example, Nuclear Assault, Ice Earth. Like when I saw that, oh wow! Like, you know, I really like Ice Earth. especially that album, Something Wicked This Way Comes. It's so emotional for me, powerful, but so emotional. I always cry, when I hear Melancholy. I was like, I want to sing it, but I cry. Amazing.
Like if you go back to influences, Matt Barlow is definitely also one of those singers that just has such a special voice.
Amazing.
And he can make you feel what he's trying to make you feel, I think. He conveys his emotions so well with his voice. So we had the chance to play with some of our, idols or bands we grew up listening to, and I think it's fair to mention at this point that it wouldn't happen without the guys in Dirty Skunks. They're local promoters who went from doing just underground stuff to basically doing all the major metal events happening in Slovenia now, and they've been going at it for roughly the same amount of time as we are. I think they started like a year before we started, and so we've been basically, seeing each other on stages for since day one, and so, I'm not gonna say all of the shows with major bands, but like 99% of them are definitely because of them. So that, just thanks, guys. At this point, that's what I can say.
What was your favorite performance when we talk about that? Can you mention? Yeah.
There's been so many. I like every show. That's even when there's, because obviously it happens that when you play a show, maybe it's also locally, but also like when you play like somewhere that you haven't played before, it can happen that there's like, I don't know, 10 people in the crowd. That happens with underground bands, that you come there and like 10 people is that's a crowd. That's it. That's all. And I don't really care if there's 100, 1,000 or 10 people. I don't care. I try to like have the same amount of fun on stage. I try to just enjoy it, and I do. I enjoy, and it doesn't matter if it's a huge festival stage or if it's a small indoor stage. Actually, I prefer like clubs with like smaller capacity clubs
more
are the
private
best.
atmosphere, right?
Yeah, that's
yeah.
my favorite as a performer, and also my favorite as a concert goer, because I go to a lot of shows, and I always prefer the small venues. I don't go to like stadium shows. I hate those. But like a favorite show,
either your performance, I mean, of your band or other bands. I mean, you can mention both. It would be nice. Yeah.
I think, because you mentioned before that we opened for Ice once, and that was one of the big ones for us. That's in a really cool venue here in Ljubljana. And the stage there is awesome, and the lights are always like top notch, and the sound. So that was one of the highlights, and it was before John Schaefer fucked everything up. So it's a good memory still. But I'm really looking forward to playing with Toxic. Some of our favorite shows are probably, we played a handful of shows just before COVID with our friends Red to Grey from Germany, and we hope to play with them again later this year. And those are great because like they're really cool guys, and we have fun when we play together. And also the shows are good. Like we played 2 shows in Germany, 1 in Austria and 1 here in Ljubljana, I think. And all of the shows were like, good crowds and just good times. And I don't know, it's always fun when you play with another band that you like. Recently we did some shows in Italy with Titus,
nice.
from the Trieste area. And yeah, it's always fun when you play with bands that you like, not just musically like, but like the people and the music when it's both together. Because sometimes there's bands you're real friends with, and you just don't really like the music, and it's better if it's obviously both. But like as a for me a show that I will like forever remember, as like not my own, but like that I've been to. There's also so many, but I think when I went to see Voivod in Zagreb, that was like I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe now, almost. No, not that long, not 15, but 10. I don't know. Voivod is also like just one of the best bands ever. But I was lucky to see Sanctuary and Nevermore a few times. So, but I can't like the last amazing show that I've been to was Amen-Ra, also one of my favorite bands. So that's like fresh in my memory as just an amazing ritual, because their shows are really not just a concert. It's like more of a, you're in a trance and it's just so loud and just awesome. So yeah.
Great to hear that. Yeah. And tell me about your future plans for tour. You can mention something, some
Yeah.
important tour dates, definitely.
Yeah. We're doing some shows. So the first one, I don't know when you're gonna air this, but from the moment of recording, tomorrow we have a show in Postojna, which is like a town here in Slovenia. Tourists usually know it for the cave and the castle. But yeah, it's a cool place that we played at club like a million times probably, and it's always great to return there. Just good people all around. So we're doing that, and then I think that we're playing. It's called like a Deaf Festival or something like that in Graz in Austria in May, and then there's a show with Toxic, and then we're going to Denmark to play Death Coast Festival, and that happened because our current label from the Vaults, they're from Denmark, so they set us up with this show. So we're doing that, and I'm still trying to find a show or two on the way there, but we'll see about that. It's not looking great right now, but we're doing that definitely. And then in September we're playing. Actually, no. In the summer we're playing the Tolminator Festival, which is done by the Dirty Skunks guys. So that's in July, I think. So it's in Tolmin, the same area, the same place where Metal Days was happening before. So it's the same location, awesome location, and we're playing there. I don't know the dates, but it's on a Friday, I think we're playing. And then we're doing another local fest later in August. And then in September, we're playing a festival in Germany called Metal Heart Festival. And I think it's going to be a really cool show. It's dedicated to Hart, who used to run Barbarian Wrath Records. And he sadly passed away a couple of years ago. So this is like a tribute to him. Put on by his partner Cheryl, who runs the Witch's Brew records label. So when she invited us, we had to say yes, because they've also been like one of a couple of people who've been actually following us since day one. And then after that, we're planning stuff with, as I mentioned before, Red to Grey, to also again do some probably German shows, some Austria, we'll see. But those are the plans right now. Hopefully also more dates in Italy, Switzerland, and also maybe it would be cool to return to Serbia again, because we've only played Novi Sad. We've been in Novi Sad twice. Would be cool to play Belgrade. Where are you from anyway?
Belgrade.
Yeah. So
yeah. Well, you're welcome, of course.
We need to play there.
You are welcome. Yeah. I always go to metal shows here and to support generally underground bands from my city, and we have a lot of good bands, and you will be more than welcome here, like in Belgrade. Yeah. I hope you will come, definitely. Yeah,
it's in our to-do list to get to Belgrade. So
yes, think about it there. But it's going to be a busy year for you, and if I get a chance, I will come to Novi Sad to see you. I hope. Yeah.
We played there already, so we're.
I understood that you're going to play again, if I'm correct.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But that's nothing confirmed yet. So.
Okay. Yeah, but you keep me posted, definitely.
Right. Sure.
So thank you so much. It was very fun today. I really enjoyed.
Thanks for the invitation. I had
Welcome.
with you. I've been talking like for an hour, which is I usually don't talk much, so this is an achievement for me. I like to, I like to sing or be quiet, and so talking this much, yeah, that's rare. So nobody's gonna listen to this for 1 hour of me, Jesus. But yeah,
Well, we'll see about that.
yeah. Thanks. It's been great. It's been my pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too. So have fun and enjoy the rest of the day and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, you too. See you soon.
See you.
Ciao.
Bye. Bye bye.